Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Human Echoes podcast. Today, we're talking to you about a movie called The Final Girls,
which is a sort of a fourth wall breaking parody of 1980s slasher films. Stars, what was it? I should know the names of the people who are in this, but
it's
I don't.
Malin Akerman and Teresa Farmiga, I believe is how you say her last name. I'm not 100% sure. Also has a lot of other bigger people in there, like Adam Devine, I believe.
Is that the guy from Pitch Perfect? The one?
Yes.
Yes. I recognized him. I was like, he's the douchebag singer from the Troublemakers.
Yeah.
And he was hilarious in this.
Yeah,
that guy's
one of the funniest
really
parts
funny. I'm becoming aware of him now as a funny man,
and it looked like a lot of his lines, like they did so many takes with so many different lines. Some of it had to have been improvised.
But the plot of this movie is that there is a girl. I don't remember the character's name. I feel bad because I feel like I should be saying her name in the review, but her mom is a former...
It's Max, by the way.
Max, thank you. You can jump in whenever. Max's mom is a former Scream Queen, and she is, at the beginning of the movie, looking for work, trying to get over being what she was in the past, trying to become a movie star, and there's a car crash and she dies. That's the opening scene of the movie, is Max loses her mom, and so she's we cut to like a year later, and she's kind of dealing with it, and she's not she's still bummed by it and sort of dealing with it, but she's not like in major grief.
Yeah, it's 3 years later, and they're going, like, you see her, she's at a diner, she meets a nice guy, like, who's obviously like all about her, and someone comes in and wants her to go to a showing of that old movie that her mom was one of the Scream Queens in. It was like Camp Bloodbath 1 and 2 or something like that.
Which, by the way, that character is you have to have the character that knows all the tropes of like slasher movies in one of these things. That was that guy is like, oh, I love the Camp Bloodbath, and trying to get her to go to the screening. She doesn't want to at first, but he eventually talks her into it, and so she goes to this screening, and the main part of the movie happens after there's a fire in the theater. And
for no explicable reason, they cut their way through the screen and end up in the movie. Yeah,
it's a little bit... you just have to accept that part.
Yeah, like
there's no real explanation. It's just like, this is the story. This is where we're going, guys. I mean, there was, to be fair, they did cut their way through the screen for a reason. It was because they thought an exit was back there.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was stampeding towards the exits and getting crammed up in there, but they couldn't get through the fire. So trying to get through... And I thought that was really cool too. When the moment when that happens, she has the machete from I think a prop machete, and she goes to slash at the same moment that the guy on screen goes to slash, and they cut she cuts down the screen at the same. Anyway, really cool sort of juxtaposition of stuff happening there. They jump it. They go into the movie. They took some a while to figure out what they're in the movie for, but the main sort of conflict is that Max is now with her mom again. Her mom as the Scream Queen from 15 or 20 years ago, even though she looks exactly the same. We'll forgive that. Very, very aged down, which kind of works in the context of the movie, right? Like,
yeah.
In all those movies, there's like 30-year-olds playing 18. So that sort of actually works in a kind of a meta way. But she sees her mom there, and kind of like, because they know how the movie goes and they know sort of the tropes, they're trying to change things and fix what is going to happen. And to be fair, be very clear, this is a comedy. This is not like a serious sort of,
like, there's some parts that are kind of gruesome, but it's still over the top humor, like murders, things like that.
People getting like the I'm okay. It's in the trailer, but the one guy who knows all the tropes, gets killed pretty quickly after he gives his whole spiel about what's going on with the movie. He gets offed by the masked killer.
Yeah, he's
Tommy.
I can't
think his name is Tommy. Anyway, he gets offed by him. Apparently, which is a great lead up too, because Tommy's like looking at him like,
I was like trying to take selfies with him and everything.
Well, because they're like, we're not part of the movie. I don't think he knows what to do with us. And like, there's this really long scene where he's just standing there, and then eventually just gets
machete to the side.
And then like later on, like they're going crazy, running away from what's happening, and he shows up. He's like, "Guys, it turns out I'm okay," and like instantly gets ran over by a car. So that's the kind of movie we're talking about. It's not like some deep sort of. It probably would be even less serious than Scream. Although to be honest, I haven't seen Scream. Totally.
Oh, it's a lot less serious than Scream.
Okay,
Scream has some actual like real slasher moments in it.
But this, I mean, the killer in this one has a tiki mask on.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like exactly like Jason, only instead of the hockey mask, it looks like a tiki torch god thing. It was pretty hilarious.
Or something.
And
like what a lot of the things that they try to do is like you show them trying to run away and then they just end up on the other side of the screen and like they kind of end up in like these loops because they have to progress the story for it to actually work. So instead of just kind of going through the story where Malin Ackerman's character dies because she's about to get laid, because that was a thing in 80s slashers movies, you had to be the final chaste virgin girl to be able to really pull it off or to be able to survive in those movies. So they start trying to figure out who is actually going to be the final girl. And it's basically Teresa Farmiga or Max.
Spoilers. No, it's not actually.
Yeah, it's like it's in the trailer.
But I will say, like the main, sort of emotional thrust of the movie is not about how they're going to defeat the villain. It's Max trying to reconnect with her mother.
Yeah,
her mother not being her mother at this point. It's actually a character in the movie, but it looks like her. And Max kind of projects onto her, what she remembers of her mother. And we see that character start to become more fully realized as a real character. And then, it's ultimately about letting go. It's about Max sort of trying to come to grips with her loss and accept it and move on. And so it really does. What works about this movie is that it's funny, but it finds its heart when it needs it. And it kind of waffles back and forth between that sort of great meta humor. Like they'll do the thing with the thing with the flashback was hilarious.
Yeah.
When they she starts telling the story about so many years ago that at this very camp, and you see the flashback bubbles start to drip down from the ceiling.
Yeah, everything just starts turning black and white. One girl's like, "Oh, I'm colorblind. What happened?"
They're great. Also, my favorite gag of that type was when the slow motion happens.
Yeah,
when they're like, "What's happening?" It's slow motion. So a lot of very much in film jokes like that. It's very much poking fun at 80s slasher movies and itself. It doesn't take itself seriously at all.
And the weird thing about that is it can be pretty serious in some of those more emotional moments. Whenever I saw this back in April, I ended up watching it again because it's one of my favorite movies from the Stanley Film Festival. And that was the world premiere. And you just heard people sobbing in the audience. You heard people laughing a lot. That was a huge emotional movie for everybody. I'm pretty sure that won the viewer's choice over at Stanley. I'm not sure how it'll do in this one.
I will say that this was not my favorite movie probably of the festival, but I think it was the movie that could connect to the most people. It has the most broad-based appeal. And that's definitely, I'm not saying that as a slight, this is just for the plebs, but it's the kind of movie that a lot of people can watch and get a lot out of. Some of these movies at these film festivals are very niche. It's hard to recommend. Yeah. I liked them, and I can see, I know what I liked about them, but I don't know how you would market something like we talked about the last review, Applesauce. How in the world do you tell, you don't make a trailer for that movie. You can't.
Yeah, you just show that first clip and try to grab people with that. But.
Right, but The Final Girls has a hook. It has a thing that it's doing. It's got a lot of emotional impact. And so I think that this movie, more than any of the ones we saw, probably will stick with people, and they'll remember it, and they'll be talking about it, I think, going forward. Hopefully, it should be good. When does it get a wide release? Is it
I think it's actually mid-October it gets a theatrical release, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, cool. So you guys can watch this pretty soon then, hopefully.
Yeah, it's going to be it's released by Sony and Stage 9, I believe. So it's got a pretty decent theatrical release. Whenever I actually talked with the director of this for a little bit, he was having everybody spam Sony to try to get into more theaters. If it doesn't come to a theater near you, it'll definitely be worth a Redbox or a Netflix or however you want to pick it up a little bit later. I still give this movie a 5. I know Al's a little bit lower on it, but this was this was an awesome movie for me.
It was, it was a little bit late, Tony, and I was tired, and it just was not. It did not blow me out. It did not blow me away completely, but it was good. Like I can't like complain about it. It was stupid. It just, I'm not on that camp at all. It just was not like absolute. I think part of it too is I knew a little bit of it going in. I'd had some of your thoughts on it, so
you had my hype on it.
And now that you've seen our whole review, try to go in this with no expectations, guys. Because that's how Tony experienced it, and I think that is probably the most potent way to experience this movie. Can't talk today.
And they do have a pretty accurate trailer. There's like it's pretty easy to see what it's about for this one. So
check that one out, and check out our other videos covering the Mile High Film Festival and the movies that we saw. Like and subscribe, and we will see you again.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.